So rule of thumb is we want a diet low in starch with the correct feeding rate to provide quality proteins and the vitamins and minerals to us to make up the daily requirement for a horse. Just a few do's and don'ts. So you can feed low sugar hay. There's some examples there. Some Rhodes grass hay, lucerne, teff or native grass hay are best. Do try and keep your horses off the pasture until they are sound. We recommend early morning grazing once sound. The sun activates the production of non-structural carbohydrates in the grass for its growth. So once the sun comes out, this is when when it's quite it's high in the grass. So we recommend getting them off the grass once the sun's been out for a while. And do feed a grain-free diet with high quality protein and balanced vitamins and minerals. And then please don't feed hay that's an oaten hay, a wheaten hay, barley or ryegrass hay. Don't feed any grains or feeds that contain grains. So don't allow the late grazing again, and don't allow any deficiencies in protein, vitamins or minerals.
Can I just put one thing in there on the diet, because that's a great chart you've got there.
Yep.
Just to help the owners out. There's one thing what's happening more and more these days, and we've had a few with the drought and because there was a lot of haze made last year, what a few nasties in there with the nitrates and that. We had a couple of farms got some hay made and the nitrates were really high and they lost some of their pregnancies. Is that we could put on that chart there that it's a good idea for some of our owners to buy bulk feed, and a lot of haymakers are doing it now. They're getting their feeds tested for sugar and that sort of thing. So for the owners, it's a big good idea. Most of the good hay suppliers now are offering their hays to be tested and that, so for nitrates and sugar and that, and so it's something that they can do even if they're buying some of them native pastures or some of them hays, that they can get them tested before they do buy a bulk load of it or something like that.
So you're spot on, Link, because as there's one of the last slides which I'll quickly touch on, but I can just say it now. Feed XL, I've got a really good ebook called like The Vet's Guide to Laminitis, and one of the things they mention so much is getting your hay tested. So if you find a hay that's low in non-structural carbohydrates, buy it in bulk, so at least you know that you've got a huge supply. You're not going to have to worry trying to scramble and find and test again, and have that lapse of not having a low sugar hay. Yeah, and obviously, you know, it goes into checking nitrates in that ebook. So yeah, it's on FeedXL's website. Just Google FeedXL Vet's Guide to Laminitis. It is awesome. You'll love it.
Yeah, basically you can get your grass and your hay tested, put it through FeedXL and make sure it sort of adds up to less than 12%. I think easy, which is kind of a handy thing. The second slide is just reiterating the fact that we need to learn how to read labels on feed bags really carefully. Or in the next slide is going to go through, just show you a few things to look for. That's all right. And just, yeah, to avoid, you know, my slide's gone.
Come back, I'll come back.
That's all right. Just please avoid anything on the ingredients list that has any grain byproducts, and especially oats, corn, wheat, rice, rye, barley, triticale and sorghum. Anything that says mill run, mill mix, pollard, rice bran and wheat bran, all micronized and extruded or steam flake grain is a big no-no. So yeah, next slide. Thank you.
And the people that love feeding their horses bread, that's another thing.
Yeah.
Not even gonna get started on that. Labels is my pet hate. I actually was laughing with Alex because I thought I was being really healthy this week, and I changed from from milk to soy milk, and I was like, this is delicious, it's so tasty, I'm never going back to milk. It was 4.5% soy and the rest was sugar and water because I didn't read the label. So I spent a fortune on, I won't even say what it's called, it's terrible. Anyway, so read your labels. So these are just two examples here on the yellow box. I don't know if it's clear for you guys, but this is just a feed that you'll see in the benefits. It actually says that the feed is a no grain formulation, so it's ideal for cool conditioning. And then, so this weight gain product contains quality ingredients. And the first ingredient, so the way with horse feeds, the first ingredients that's listed as the first ingredients that's put into the mix. So the first ingredient is this relax equine pellet. Doesn't say anything more about it. Lucerne chaff, and then bran and pollard. So already on Alex's slide, we now know that bran and pollard is a grain. So they're saying it's a no grain formulation, but there's grain in it. So if you've got a laminitic horse and you've just read the bag and go, oh, it's no grain, perfect, you're already, in trouble. So what's really frustrating about this one is because it says it's a relaxed equine pellet, if you're in a store, you're just going to take their word on it. So we then went onto the website, looked up this relaxed equine pellet, and the ingredients, the first ingredients to this pellet is bran and pollard. And again, the key features formulated without the cereal grains, oats, barley, and corn. So yeah, there's no oats, barley, and corn in it. So it's not made of whole grains, but there's still bran and pollard. So if you have this horse that, is really, really sensitive to grains and just has relapses really simply, this is going to be straight away really good marketing to set your horse right back to the start again.
Yeah.
Some other things to look out for is these little, the little logos that you see, again, great marketing on bags. So this one's low GI, ideal for horses prone to cushions and insulin resistance. And on the same bag, it also says high fiber, low starch formula, ideal for horses prone to metabolic related issues. One of the main ingredients in that feed is meal mix. So again, a grain byproduct. So it's just really frustrating that there's not regulations to actually make this not happen, but it still does. And with the Laminitis Trust approved symbol, that's really outdated. And I did actually speak to Nerida Richards, an independent nutritionist, about this. And she was just saying that to have a feed registered with the Laminitis, a trust approved company, your feed just has to be less than 40% non-structural carbohydrate. So some of our racing feeds could actually have that logo on the bag. So again, just because it has the logo, don't just don't take its word for it. Go and read those ingredients and really, really make sure you know exactly what's in there. And then that little image that says may contain traces of lupins, beans, barley, and maize. I was speaking to a client only the other day. Her horse was going fine. It had laminitis once upon a time. She had on this low grain diet. Everything was going really well. And she had gone and bought some new bags of a particular product. And when we were talking, we were trying to figure out what was going on. I hadn't eaten anything different. What had happened is she bought, another 5 bags of this product. And on the back, she just happened to notice that it says may contain barley and maize. So that's a product that is labeled low starch and sugar, and it's recommended for laminitis. But yet there's a possibility of barley and maize being in there. So it's just that, it's that gut-wrenching feeling of her basically thinking that she's been doing everything right, but now she might have fed something that's been recommended to her and it's actually set her right back to the start again. So I'm really nitpicky on this. Always read your labels down to the last ingredient.
And even to give you an idea, on the back of our bags, especially for the ones that do cater for metabolic, we do state the non-structural carbohydrate percentage on the back there. So if you get a little bit confused with saying on the front that it's low in starch and sugar and it's laminitic safe, have a look on the back of the bag. Firstly, look at the ingredient listing like what all is saying, and then see if there's an actual percentage rating with your starch and sugars in your non-structural carbohydrate. And that will give you
a lot of time they won't be there.
Yeah.
Next slide, Luke. And then just the take-home tips. This will also be on the things that Mitchell sent through. Just always reading the label, no grain byproducts or grains. Keeping the diet low starch and sugar. If you can go and buy hay, if you can get it tested, if you can buy in bulk, that's awesome. really recommend using Feed XL to make sure that your diets are balanced and safe for laminitic horses. Assess the weight. Again, Luke touched on it earlier. Don't let them be fat. Don't feed with your heart. And yeah, just to prevent boredom, gastric ulcers, you always want to, you know, soak your hay. So you always want to, that's something we haven't touched on, is just soaking the sugars out. So in cold water, soaking between like 2 to 10 hours. Not recommended in hot climates, like not for that long, because you just don't want to let bacteria grow on your hay. So yeah, trying to do it as short as possible, maybe with some warm water, chuck it out and feed it. And then yeah, when you soak with warm water, 1/2 hour to 2 hours max. Soak it in a hay net, so it's super simple, just to whip out, hang up on the stable, make sure it drip dries. And yeah, just don't let them go more than 4 hours without feeding, because you're just going to lead on to problems with gastric ulcers, and it's, yeah, you're going to just set yourself back to the start all over again. Next, Luke.
Oh, here we go. Is that it?
Zoom says no.
Ah. Right. Okay.
Do you remember what the slide was?
Right.
Yeah, well, I'll just, the next slide was just an example of our feeds that are laminitis safe. There it is, slide 21.
Oh, 21?
Yep.
Ah.
Yeah, so as you can see, we've got the Easy Sport there. There's a little nice couple of diets made up for a 500 kilo horse. You know, that's recommended for horses in moderate work. And then we've got the Easy Keeper for horses that aren't in work or you need to strip some weight off them. There's some fantastic feeds that are, and if I go into the next slide, I can show you what's on the back of the bag, what Mitch was talking about. So here we've got our full ingredients listed. As you can see, there's absolutely no grain byproducts in there at all. And then if you look at the percentages there of sugar and starch on both the feed bags, it states it for starters, which is always a good start. And you can add up your non-structural carbohydrates by adding the starch content, which is 1.1% there, with your water-soluble carbohydrate, which is 7%, and it comes out at 8.1%, which is below your 10% recommendation. And the same for your Easy Keeper. So,
if people are wondering as well what the main difference is between Easy Sport and Easy Keeper, the good way of looking at that is the Easy Keeper is a balancer, so the feeding rates generally looking at it is around about that 500 grams, and then for Easy Sport, generally looking at it, it's more of a full feed, so you're looking around about that 1.5 kilos as a full feed. So pick your mark. If your horse is a reasonably good doer and can handle a smaller amount of feed, then probably lean more towards the Easy Keeper. You don't want to get to a point where you're feeding Easy Sport but feeding underneath the recommended rates. There are ways around that with balancing it out with Easy Keeper, but to keep it simple, yeah, pick your mark with a certain product that's suited for the feeding rates that you're giving out.
Next, Luke.
can move on to the hay.
And to finish off, this is just a clip taken from that ebook because I just loved it that much. It just really breaks it down for everything. So that was just a little example diet for what to expect to be feeding your horse for weight loss, maintaining weight, and if you have to gain weight. It's not very clear from my screen, so I'm not sure if it's for everyone else. But yeah, when you get a chance, just go and download it and sit in bed and have a read, because you'll take home a lot as well. There's a lot more we didn't get a chance to cover.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's us.